All right, all right. Welcome to another episode of Fan Therapy. Fan Therapy episode 61. We are back talking about football. I got my football guys with you, getting right into it. We got the leader of men, one of the leaders of men on this podcast. He was the high school tennis captain of his school, Eagle super fan, 2-0 in NFC championships when he's in the building. He's a Pac 12 truther. He is a 6-team playoff enthusiast. He's at his favorite part of the playoffs right now. His team is still in it. Our fan therapy college football analyst, Tyler. How are we doing today, bro?
Excited. Been a while since we last talked.
Big
Excited to
week.
cover the things that happened.
No, absolutely. Big week for your squad over there. We'll definitely get into it soon. Yeah, moving on swiftly to get us into it, we have a Connecticut versus Rhode Island game regular. They call him Captain Connecticut, track and field state champ, junior year, top 50 in nation in receptions, Princeton University football captain in college, yet 11 yards a pop. In his NFL career, 12 yards a pop with the 138th pick in the 2016 NFL draft. The Cleveland Browns selected the greatest coder in the nation, our fan therapy NFL analyst. He has graced the Jags, Cardinals, and of course the Browns with his abilities. Seth, how are we doing today, bro?
What's up, guys? I'm great. Back from Christmas break. Excited to talk with you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Christmas is said to be NFL is said to be infringing on the Christmas spirit. So we are here talking about NFL straight into the new year. New Year football. Mine straight goes to college. We are at the end of it at the Crooks. We got Oregon versus Indiana coming up at the end of this week. Our guy Tyler, we already know which way he's leaning. I'm kind of rooting for him. I got a sour taste about Indiana. My spot a little bit. But yeah, I'm leaning your way, Tyler. Tyler, how are you feeling about this one? What are some of the keys we got to watch out for?
So, the old saying is it's hard to beat a team twice. So they gotta come and they gotta beat us twice, and that's how I see it. Dan Lanning's gonna have the guys ready to play. There is rumors of a massive injury in our running back room, which, if is true, would probably make me incredibly less confident. But it's unconfirmed as of now.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be a good game. It's definitely going to be – I think the winner of this game wins the national championship. I just don't see Miami and Ole Miss really competing with these teams in the trenches, especially Indiana. Like, that's the thing is that, like, the average age of Indiana's team is 22 and a half. So it's grown men playing for Indiana. So you're going to have to either – you can't out-physical them, so you got to outspeed them, and that's what we got. So excited.
It's a little better than basketball. Basketball has a 21-year-old freshman playing around now, so you're not too much to complain about. So with that quarterback, do you feel like this could be the game where we're saying could any shifts happen with that number one pick in this game, or do you think it's kind of locked in and we're kind of just moving and grooving?
I think Mendoza's probably locked into one just because we have to see what Dante Moore does, because there's still a really high chance he comes back to Oregon. Because he is just truly a one-year starter, and with NIL, he could probably make like $6 or $7 million at Oregon just to play quarterback, which is just as good as he would be. And then looking at the teams in the top half of the draft, like, would he rather roll the dice and see what teams are there next year? Because, like, I don't know if he wants to go to the Jets or if he wants to, go to any of those teams.
Yeah.
So. The power is now really in the players being like, can look at teams and be like, hey, is this a team that I can see myself playing for? Is this a team that I think can help me grow as a player? And if they think not, they can go back to college and make $7 million playing quarterback and probably have a shot at a national championship.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Seth, with the kind of these adjustments with the NIL period and the quarterbacks especially quarterback positions kind of where the money is, making that decision going to the NFL draft, when you're kind of in the midst of it, I think maybe this question is kind of simplified, but kind of as you're looking at it, do you think that maybe it's kind of worth for a player like of the quality of Dante Moore to say, maybe like my situation in the NFL at this point isn't looking great, to consider going back? Or do you think they should kind of stick with the philosophy of taking the opportunities kind of as they come?
Yeah, I think it's a case by case scenario. I think if you're Dante Moore, you absolutely consider going back to college. Um,
Right.
the NFL draft is not a sure thing. I mean, we're sitting here assuming Fernando Mendoza is going to go number one.
Right.
There's 4 months between now and the draft, and a lot of things change between now and then. I think if they both came out, depending on how interviews go, how visits go, how pro days and combines go, there's just a lot of things that shift between now and then. I agree with Tyler. I think that the power has shifted it more into the player's hands. I think that's universally a good thing, at least when you're a player. Um, the truth is, not every player is making $7 million. There's
Mhm.
actually very, very few making that number. There are, as you go through the bell curve, there's a little bit more making a couple $1 million, but then most players are making less than $1 million. So in most cases, like a lot of guys are going to make more money in the NFL and will take the opportunity when they can get it. However, um, if you could make as much or more in college, I think you should get all the development that you can get.
Yeah.
Um, Continue to pursue your degree if you're going to class. I don't know who is and who's not. I'm not here to make any judgment calls on that. Um, but yeah, my take on it is I'm not locked into whoever the number one pick is. Obviously, we have assumptions at this point on January
Sure.
6th. But yeah, I also think Dante Moore should seriously consider staying in school, especially given the amount of money that he can make staying there. Um, and yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to play for the New York Jets right now. So
Yeah.
if you think that could be you, all the more reason to potentially stay. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tyler.
I was gonna say, I actually think we saw a player this year kind of do this. It was Brandon Sorsby, the quarterback from Cincinnati. He's been a solid, and same thing with Josh Hoover, the quarterback at TCU. They were both like really solid, good players that probably would have been drafted rounds like almost like a Dylan Gabriel, like round 3 to 5. But instead, they opt to go in the portal, and there's rumors that Brandon Sorsby got $5 million from Texas Tech, which is probably more than he'd make in his NFL career, being a career like more likely than not.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Josh Hoover. There's rumors of him going to Indiana, and we know how Sig likes to throw out money. So,
Yeah.
chances that he's also like making money to where
Those are some of the
NFL
top paying
becomes a side
schools in
gig
the
almost.
NIL. Yeah, absolutely. The Texas Tech pays some of the most money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah,
No.
guys, like this is all public information, but like I was a fourth round draft pick. I worked hard for 5 years to stay in the league. My career earnings were less than $4 million. So, like, if you're making that in 1 year of college football,
Yeah. Silly. Yeah.
yeah, stay.
Go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even a question.
It's like Trinidad Chambliss is trying to get a 6-year of eligibility. The quarterback at Ole Miss, he's trying to
I
get
don't
6 because
blame them.
Ole Miss will pay him.
At this point, everybody should try it.
Yeah. I don't know because they can't. I was actually like reading the other day that like legally the NCAA has no way to enforce eligibility because now that players are being paid, it falls under like labor law. So like if you were to deny a player a year of eligibility and they can prove in court that they would have gained monetary value from doing the job, then the school would be like sued into oblivion. So huge issues there. Nobody, the NCAA can't get sued over eligibility now. So that's another topic for another day. But
we can definitely do a deep dive into that one for sure. I love it, Tyler. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, moving on to the guys that have been getting paid for a minute. John Harbaugh's probably getting a fat check or getting a semblance of fat checks rolling his way. He has been, I do not know the actual terms, but he has parted ways with the Baltimore Ravens. He will be looking elsewhere. Sources say he looks like he's going to be looking for another coaching job. Giants already threw his name in the hat for an interview. This one honestly was one that people were talking about. I don't know if it was necessarily expected. I guess we'll start there. After watching the Ravens season come to an end the way it did, do you guys feel like this would be a decision they would be leaning towards, or just conversation swirling. Seth, what do you think about this one before you heard the news?
Yeah, I was definitely shocked when I heard it. There was rumblings that the team that lost this Steelers Ravens game, that their head coach could potentially be out. Now, it happens to be a game between the two longest tenured coaches in the NFL.
Right.
So when you hear something like that, you're like, maybe, but probably not. I mean, you are on a team for 18 plus years because you win a lot of games, you stabilize a franchise. So, like, from an outsider's perspective, it seems emotional, it seems quick, it seems like there's probably a lot of recency bias at play in the decision. However, decisions like this always they always come down to things that have happened over multiple years. They always come down to things that have happened behind the scenes that the public is not privy to. It's like death by a thousand cuts, if you will. Like there's very few situations where, especially when the coach has been there 18 years, where the coach gets fired because of one game or one thing that happened. If you're the former Michigan head coach, that's what happened. But if you're anybody else, you get fired because of a lot of things, small things over a period of time that you could not correct, right? Whether that's communication with people inside the building, be it Lamar, be it the GM.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard there was potentially rumored difficult relationships with both. Whether that's just the front office or the owner feeling like this team is better than what we're consistently putting on the field, and potentially the head coach is holding us back.
Yeah.
That would maybe be a stretch this season with the lack of quality of the defense on the Ravens side of the ball. But at the same time, like Lamar didn't play a couple games this year. That's more a knock on Lamar than it is on John Harbaugh. But it all resulted in the team missing the playoffs and John Harbaugh ultimately being responsible for that. And probably ownership and decision makers saying, hey, this team is chronically underperforming. We have a two-time MVP. We haven't made the Super Bowl. We've lost in the first round of the playoffs. We've missed the playoffs. And sometimes it's just time.
Yeah.
Like Andy Reid left Philadelphia because they asked him to leave. Andy Reid's not a bad coach. We know that. John Harbaugh's not a bad coach. We know that. Sometimes when you talk to somebody for 18 years, the monotony of the tone starts to fall on deaf ears, and you just need something new. Not because anybody did anything wrong. Part of me feels like this is that case where the ownership's not going to bring John into the office and say, hey, you're a bad coach. We got to get rid of you. They're going to say, John, thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah.
You're obviously an amazing coach, but like the production here has grown stale and we need to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, this is not a
maybe they even
situation.
asked him. They might have even asked him what he thought the next few years would look like, and then we're like, no, but finish up. Sorry.
He probably did have more of a conversation than most coaches in that position. That being said, like he's going to walk to the mailbox every 2 weeks for the next 3 years and collect his check. So like, if he wants to, he can take a break. He can basically be Sean Payton and wait for the job that he wants to open up, take it. Like if you're him, you're probably not taking the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Browns, the Jets, if that becomes available. The Jets didn't fire their coach, right? But people are saying they might.
No,
not yet.
Anyways, like you wait for Andy Reid to retire or for Sean McVay to get bored and retire. You know what I mean? Like you wait for a good job opening, and that's what I would expect him to do. If he's really gung-ho about coaching next year, he's probably going to have to take a rebuilding situation. But no, yeah, this was obviously the biggest news of the day. I was shocked. But at the end of the day, like these things do happen, and so I wasn't surprised to see it happen.
Yeah. Tyler, what was your reaction to this one when you first heard it? You texted me pretty early. I appreciate that.
Is my camera okay? It looks like
It is a little. It's a little bit wonky.
Okay.
We can take a pause. You want to unplug it? We can take a pause. You can unplug it and plug it back in if you want to.
No, it's just the laptop camera.
Okay. Yeah, just go for it. You're good.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Seth. I think it just probably was time. It was just probably a mutual thing. Like, they weren't missing the playoffs with that team. That defense just wasn't looking good in the beginning of the year. They kind of turn around, but at the same time, your offense doesn't look great, and it just felt like time. Like, yeah, I don't know. John Harbaugh's a good coach. I might be in the camp of I don't think he's a elite coach because they did have some lofty expectations for this teams in recent years, and they have kind of fallen short of the mark. Was that a John Harbaugh issue, or is that they had to play Patrick Mahomes issue? Who knows? But at the same time, like, they did have many great teams that kind of did fall short of expectations. So I don't know. He's definitely the best coach on the market. It's like him and the Kevin Stefanski sweepstakes right now. But one team I was kind of thinking of is I wonder if the Bucks go and fire Todd Bowles now and try to bring John Harbaugh down there, kind of like when they did with Bruce Arians, and kind of get that like I think Baker Mayfield would love John Harbaugh. It feels like they would have like the same put my head through a center block wall kind of mentality. So I think that'd be a great fit down there. And I think that might be the only job he'd take. I don't see him taking a job like what Seth's saying. I don't see him taking a rebuilding team because like if we're being honest, he's never done that. He inherited a 13-3 team that had Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Haloti Ngata and Terrell Suggs. They had just elite teams this whole time because they've had the best front office in football. So yeah, I don't see him taking a rebuild job, but I could see him taking like a Bucks. Like that would make sense to me. But
yeah,
I think the Sean Payton thing is a good comparison. I like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before we get into the openings around the league, I think it's definitely crazy when a coach like this goes down. I think it's even like a crazy idea just looking at getting 53 millionaires to buy into something is a hard task, let alone 50 grown men, by the way, that they're getting in. So it makes sense that it's impressive that you can keep a message and a philosophy going for that long. And at the end of the day, these teams have to make harsh decisions. And I think often we also see owners looking at the trends of their peers going on. And we just saw the Seahawks. They decided to part ways with their coach that was there for a while, got a younger voice in there, and they were able to flip it around. They're the best seed in the NFC right now. So I think they're definitely we're looking at the trends. We'll see if any other teams fall in that trend. But it kind of seems like there's a lot of good coaching names floating around and even more joining. So it's very interesting. Looking at the openings that are available, setting that Ravens one aside, it's looking like the Cardinals, Falcons, Browns, Raiders, and Giants. They are all looking for a coach right now. Just interested, if you were a coach, don't worry about the X and O's too much. What would your philosophy be picking one of these jobs, and why would you go about this? We'll start with you, Tyler.
So I kind of texted my friend. I texted you to say, like, Justin, I think the Cardinals is both the best and the worst job. Because with the Cardinals, you're walking into a team where you have, at once considered a premier talent in Marvin Harrison Jr., Alec Pierce, Trey McBride, and you technically have a top 20, top 15 maybe quarterback in Kyler Murray when healthy. And, like, you have you have Budda Baker on your team. Like, you have players. So, like, if a coach can fall in love with the players already on the Cardinals, I can see that being a very attractive job. And now the reason I say it's the worst job is because the NFC West is legitimately by far the best conference division of football. And for you to make the playoffs, you somehow have to beat the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. So,
and they'll all win 10 games probably.
That's what I mean. So it's like, if you fall in love with the team, you'd be like, oh, I could do something with this. But can you do enough with that team to compete in your division? And then it's like kind of the opposite with like the Falcons. Like, do you think the pieces are there? And then the division you have to compete in is so like cutthroat and competitive because they're all about the same. It's like one loss, like the Panthers. The Panthers won a winning streak, but Oh no, was it the
They're all
the
they're all the
Panthers?
same in a very mediocre way, though. I mean,
Yeah,
if you could play in the NFC South right now, I mean that's where Brady went to win his Super Bowl
yeah,
after New England. There's a lot of reasons he chose Tampa, but like that division, at least recently, has been underperforming. So
Right.
totally.
I mean,
But
the Panthers got into the playoffs for a reason, right? Like they were the best of a mediocre division.
the funny part about the Panthers getting in is they had their last 2 games they had a chance to win and get in, and they lost both. But somehow every other team that needed to lose lost. So they didn't even get in by their own doing. They got
That's
in
kind of
because
my point. Yeah,
yeah.
that's kind of my
So
point.
that's what I mean. Like the NFC South, like it's like hard because like everyone's kind of like the same. So it's like if you go, it's like a boxing match where everyone's got their eyes like a blind boxing match. Everyone's just swinging.
Absolutely. Seth, was that your pick? It sounded like you saying
Well,
that you could take advantage of that situation.
I feel like none of these are good jobs. Let me first start out by saying that. Uh, Now, to follow
Absolutely.
up with that, I think there's 3 tiers here.
Hmm.
I think the top tier of these bad jobs is Falcons Raiders. Um, Partially because of roster, partially because of ownership. Like if I had to rank the owners here, I would go
Mhm.
Falcons, Raiders, Cardinals, Giants, Browns from best to worst. So that's partially how these tiers get made in my mind. I think it's Raiders,
Mhm.
Falcons, then it's Cardinals, and then it's at the bottom Browns, Giants. I don't think you'd want the Browns or the Giants job right now. I think Michael Bidwell is a good owner. I don't think he's a great owner. I was in that building. I don't have a personal relationship with him. I'm just looking at the steady mediocrity of his team over a long period of time.
Hmm.
Typically, that is a reflection of the owner. It certainly is in Cleveland. Um, the Haslam signed my checks for 4 years, so like I appreciate them. I just think that, and they would agree with this, ultimately, they need to take accountability for the fact that they've hired good coaches, drafted good quarterbacks. None of them can win and none of them can stay, right? Like that's
Mhm.
a culture problem, which starts at the top. Um, Same thing can be said for the Giants. I think it's a slightly different situation there. I think partially the media market, partially the ownership is just making that job an uphill battle. Um, the Raiders and the Falcons have really good offensive rosters. The Raiders are in a position to draft a quarterback. The Falcons really do not have a good quarterback situation right now, and that would probably make it 1A for me. Um, Maybe I'm choosing the Raiders, which is kind of a crazy thought,
Yeah.
So
but
how
go
much
I'm
ahead,
not
Tom.
mad at
of
it.
that decision is it that Tom Brady's involved in that ownership, front office, whatever you want to call his role?
I think I think it's a negative from a head coaching
That's what I was
view.
about to ask.
Um, just because you can't be opposed to him and right when he's the best player to ever play.
Yeah.
Uh, he owns a minority stake of the team. He's richer than you, better looking than you, more respected than you.
I don't know, unless they
Like,
hire Cliff, he may not be better looking than Cliff. I don't know.
well, like in most, yeah, true. In most cases, a head coach is supposed to tell the owner, "You hired me to do a job. Let me go do my
Yeah.
job. Here's how I think the job is best supposed to be done." When you speak with Brady, Brady's going to have
You
all
can't.
these opinions, and if you don't
Yeah.
see eye to eye, you can be gone. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
now, I don't know Tom. A lot of people say Tom's great. I'm sure he is. Um, I just think that it's like doing a school project, like with your parent peeking over your shoulder the whole time. It's just
Yeah.
like, uh, now I think from an ownership group perspective, it's great to have Tom Brady on to help you steer the organization, try to make high-level decisions, try to make personnel decisions. Like, I think it's good for the organization. Head coaching candidates would probably view that with trepidation, I would imagine, though.
Random question: has Josh McDaniels coached there before?
Yeah.
Where did he get his job with the Raiders? Right. Yeah. It'll be his second time. He can go back there and work for Tom Brady a second time in his career.
That feels like a long shot, but
absolutely. That thought straight at the top of my head.
It's gonna be something wild, though. I know it. Like the Raiders can be somebody nobody ever expected to get head coaching job. That feels like the one that's just gonna be like, the running backs coach for the Texans. And be like, what?
Yeah.
Kind of like when Dan Campbell got hired. That was crazy, but look at him.
To bring this coach. Oh, were you about to say something, Seth?
No, I'm good.
All right, bringing the coaching conversation full circle before we get out. Do you guys think, to flip it on its head, do you guys think the Ravens job is becoming the premier job in the league now? Mm-hmm. Automatically.
Yeah.
Yes, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I think there's only one job's better than the Raiders. I don't think there's only. I only think the Bills is a better job. Like in the NFL, if like all head coaching jobs were open, I think Ravens would just probably one or two.
Absolutely, they have a very good roster that dealt with a bunch
great
of
ownership, historically great front office, sports town. Lamar, like they have everything.
I'm so interested to see who they bring in. That's gonna be very, very cool to see. And then like we said, will Lamar follow? Will they have to get him out of there? Seth, in this situation, just from insight background, do you think that kind of keeping a guy around Lamar's caliber would be helpful for the new head coach coming in? Or do you think, obviously from a standpoint, do you think it would be kind of the relationship wise would be better for this head coach to just come in with a fresh start if there is a kind of a tampered relationship with Lamar and the organization?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it'd be crazy to move off of Lamar. Now, like if you come from the Bill Belichick school of personnel decisions, you would say, well, let's try to move off of a player like 2 to 3 years before they actually start going downhill. Lamar is 29 as of today, I think, or like this week. And what that means, I think, is that athletically, he's probably starting to go downhill, but in terms of quarterbacking, he's still entering his prime in terms of NFL quarterback years. Now, Lamar is a really great passer, better than he's ever gotten credit for, but I'm not sure that he's as good without his threat of running. That being said, I still think it's way too early to consider moving off of Lamar. Like eventually, yeah, you try to get something for him, unless he's like, going to retire a Raven and is going to continue to be healthy and play well and all of those things. If him not having an agent has truly soured relationships with the front office, then yeah, it's probably best for the new head coach to try to move off of Lamar. But to be honest with you, when you have somebody who is that good at football, who loves football as much as Lamar does, like you don't move off Lamar. You make it work. You have him over for dinner. You squash whatever you need to squash. You let bygones be bygones. Let the new league year wash over everything. Maybe convince him, hey, maybe get an agent so that when we negotiate your next contract, we don't have to say all the things we're thinking directly to your face. But would they move off him? Possibly. It'd be like moving off of Luka Doncic. Should they? I don't think they should. No.
Yeah. I think I'm aligned there with that one. I'm getting right now. I think he can be definitely a tool, but relationships are a funky thing, especially in sports and relationships where they're needed and where they show, and it's very funny how those things work. Tyler, how you feeling about the Lamar situation? Would you think I'm calling it a situation? We don't even know if it's a situation.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the potential of maybe the Ravens wanting to kind of just clean out a little another level and maybe make a switch at the quarterback position as well to give the head coach a fresh start?
That would be so stupid. Like, genuinely, he's a 2-time. He should be a 3-time MVP. Like, last year, he had the single most efficient passing season of any player in NFL history. Like, that would be so dumb.
Agreed.
Like, but the thing is like, good teams make dumb moves and they somehow work out. So they might, and it might work out for them. But like what Seth said, Lamar is your golden goose. You got to sit him down. You got to be like, maybe you got to pamper him a little bit. They do need other things, though. They need other things real bad. That's not a complete team by any means. So, I'm scared they're going to try to take our boy A.J. Brown, but that's a different discussion.
I don't know if I'd be too. I'd hate it, but I don't know. We'd move on. Yeah, You have something to say? Sir?
Well, I just think if you let Lamar walk out of the building, everybody's jobs in the building that are decision makers all of a sudden just become under fire. Like, you let that happen on your watch, you become the Dallas Mavericks GM, your clock's ticking. If it doesn't work out like soon, and acquiring draft picks doesn't work out soon. Like,
right.
I came from an era of the Cleveland Browns where we stockpiled draft picks because we said this is going to work, and it took years and it didn't work. And like, it just doesn't work out soon. So if you let him walk, you better get something that can work soon if you want your job, right? Like, you don't want to be the person that let Lamar walk out of Baltimore and you become the villain.
I remember the second or third year there, the Browns had 3 first-round draft picks. They used them all. Everybody thought they were playing Madden, and it doesn't always shake out. It needs time, needs to develop. So many things have to go right in order for it to.
Was that Miles Denzel Njoku?
Yeah.
Jabril, was Jabril in that one? Was it not Jabril? Was he one of the 3?
No, Jabril was the next year.
Miles Denzel, that's cool. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Miles Denzel David. Yeah, I just forgot about that. That is crazy.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're all still there, so good for them. Good for the Browns for hanging on to all 3 of those picks.
Absolutely. You can send Njoku our way if they wanted to. I'll take them. And also Denzel Ward. That's literally my favorite player. That dude, I love him.
We talk about him weekly.
He's actually Spider-Man on the football field. It's incredible some of the stuff he does.
He's one of the best movers you could ever see in person or on screen.
Oh my goodness.
We need to get him to come play on our men's league basketball team.
Oh my goodness, that would be different. Oh my goodness, seeing players like that in like practice settings is absolutely insane. Who else did I like? Oh my goodness, Tyler. Who was that linebacker that we got? And he played kind of like that Joker, linebacker role.
Oh my God,
he was kind of a hothead. Gennard Avery. Gennard Avery. I saw him play at one of Seth's training camps. I was like, yo, this dude can like. He'll break the sack record if you give him enough time.
Gennard's a little bull, man. That dude is a crazy athlete. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, we love to see it. And then we'll give another shout out. I believe there was some dude in Jacksonville you saw jump over a car like long ways or something like that. I forget. You told me something.
I saw him jump over a car.
The punt returner, the kick returner.
I remember you said you saw him do something crazy athletic. Was it Cole?
It's not Tutu Atwell. He plays the Rams.
Is it Agnew?
Yes.
Jamal Agnew?
He was really. I honestly, it might have. Was it somebody who wore like 84 or something? I feel like he wore the 80s. I remember Agnew though. Agnew was a dog. He wore 39, I think. But it's all good. If we, and it was Keelan Cole. Keelan Cole.
Keelan Cole. Yeah. Great athlete. Really, really great teammate too. Freaking love Keelan.
I lost him.
Wait, did he go to USC?
Let's see.
I could be totally wrong.
Kentucky Wesleyan. Kentucky
Yeah,
Wesleyan.
I've never been so wrong in my life.
KWC, actually.
Yeah, no, not even
Keelan
close.
Cole was the only player I'd ever seen who wore Shaq football cleats.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, isn't that kind of unique?
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
I'm pretty sure they were like Jordans that were like made to look like Shaq's, but because Shaq's not actually making football cleats, but like the very like unique Shaq silhouette and pattern. Anyways,
No, I love talking about random football players. It's the best.
That's my favorite thing to do.
All right, moving on to other people that Seth has been in the same building as. Cliff Kingsbury has the word we're going to use is parted ways. A lot of interesting terminology on these day of firings and partings of ways in making decisions. But Cliff Kingsbury has parted ways with the Commanders. He was known for really just working with James Daniels on that amazing rookie year. This year didn't come to fruition as well due to injuries. So many ways we can go about that one. But yeah, just really interested in this one. And he's quickly become honestly a hot name, getting shot around for jobs. Few teams, a team, forgetting the name top of my head, putting in an interview request. This one was interesting. Seth, just interested to hear your background of Cliff as a head coach. Kind of, he focuses on the offensive side of the ball. We've seen him kind of, from what I've seen, I feel like his teams often get out to really good starts. But I feel like there's been some inconsistencies and patterns to his coaching. But would love to just hear anything that you loved on working under him, or if you were his friend that you would say maybe this is one of the two things that you could get better at as a coach. What are your opinions there?
Yeah, that's a good way to frame it because I think there's both sides of that equation. Now, I think it should be fair for me to say that I didn't spend training camp with Cliff.
Yes.
I joined the Cardinals in late October of 2020, which it is to be noted because like the way you coach during training camp is, at least can be different from the way you coach October, November, December, January.
Very fair.
That being said, like I think Cliff is a great coordinator. I do struggle with some of his methodology. If it were me hiring, I probably would not hire Cliff as my head coach, and I'm sure Cliff will probably never see this, and if he does, I don't think that he'll have any problem with me saying that. He's a big boy, but
he had a nice house in Arizona. He had a nice crib.
He does. And listen, like I don't think Cliff is a bad coach. I think my short time being with Cliff, he has an interesting way of play calling and play design, which may come up a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But most offensive coaches will have like their system from which like they can install during training camp. It's kind of like the foundation from which everything else builds upon. And then they'll throw in some like new plays every week that are brand new that the team's never seen before, that are built for the specific defense they're going up against. Maybe give them one word so that you don't have to memorize a whole play call, so on and so forth. The unique thing about Cliff is that his entire playbook is just stuff Cliff game planned, like watching film. Now,
I see.
This to me is potentially why Cliff's teams tend to get out to really great starts and then struggle to finish really strong throughout the rest of the season. That is because good teams that are in it at the end, tend to get better over the course of the season. My experience with Cliff is that he had some really good plays, but they all changed every week. Now, this is not uncommon in the NFL for plays to change week to week, but like for the whole install to change week to week is like a lot. And what I experienced was, instead of like practicing footwork and technique and like fundamentals at practice like we do just about everywhere, playing offense on the Cardinals in 2020 was like alignment, assignment. Do you know how to get in the right formation? Do you know what to do once the ball snaps? It's like It's just memorization and recollection. There's not a lot of football getting coached. It's just like, are we ready for game time? It's almost like you're in a Broadway musical and we're going to rehearse this thing to make sure that we're ready to go for showtime.
Yeah.
But like at some point, if you're in a Broadway musical, you got to practice dancing. You got to practice elements of your craft. You know what I mean? That I just felt like were lost as a result of Cliff's kind of unique play design philosophy. Um, Justin, I think I've told you I had stacks of flashcards every week, like this
Yeah.
tall, just learning all the new plays that went in.
Mhm.
And that's what I spent. That's what me and the rest of the offensive unit spent our time in the week doing. And I
Yeah.
think potentially all that effort from Cliff is good in the beginning of the season when you're just out working and out preparing other teams. But like as the season goes on and your fundamentals start to get rusty and
Yeah.
you're not getting better, that's my humble take.
Sure.
I think I've seen enough to think that there's better ways to prepare a football team. But that's Cliff's methodology. He survived a long time doing it that way, and he's won a lot. So he's going
Mhm.
to get a job. Personally, I would steer clear, but I think he's a
Sure.
great coach.
No, absolutely. Some of the things you said were very interesting. Almost like it almost feels like an NBA mindset. Like kind of you get your individual work off to the side, and when we're together, we're walking through stuff. It's big group, big
Yeah,
game situations. Walking through the situations where we're watching film. That's a very interesting take, and I think kind of like dissecting it and kind of just taking it on a path, you can kind of see like maybe like a quarterback may not develop the best like under that because he's developing for certain situations and looking to pass the test weekly as opposed to like building a philosophy and a style of
right.
play that you can kind of lean on when the crap hits the fan at the end of the day.
Exactly.
That a
Let me
lot of
let me
teams
add one
have.
more thing too, if I
Yeah,
may. Like
absolutely. They won't take
our
your time.
position coaches, while we're supposed to be spending hours watching film, because like, what does a professional football player do all day? Well, we
Yeah.
watch film, we get treatment, we go to practice, we watch practice film after that, we watch game film. Instead of like coaching on film, like most coaches do, our position coaches, out of fear of their guys just messing up at practice, would just be like ripping through play calls. Seth, what you got? Max, what you
Yeah.
got? Seth, what you got on this one? So like all meeting long, the coach is just making sure we studied as opposed to like actually watching film, correcting technique, showing the opponent. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
to me, it was just like a lot of the team trying to make sure that Cliff's play calls worked as opposed to like us
Right.
getting better as an offensive unit. But
Yeah. No, because it can get political and it's a job at the end of the day. So sometimes people get the mindset of what I need to do to get to the job, get to the next day of the job and look good. And yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
then
We're all
the
just trying to
big
keep
picture
our
gets
job.
lost. No,
That's right.
absolutely. I have a question for you, Tyler. Before I get there, it looked like you had a moment of realization when you were
Yeah,
did you see something interesting?
yeah. Seth, how much do you think that could be attributed to Cliff's prior experience only being a head coach in college?
Um, Yeah, I'd be shocked if that's how he did things in college, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
My guess, maybe I'm naive because I went to an Ivy League school and I think that like all college football players are just too busy to actually learn new plays every week.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like
Mm.
at USC and or Oklahoma, I forget where he
Texas
Texas
Tech.
Tech,
coached.
right?
Yeah,
Texas
he
Tech.
was
Yeah.
Mahomes' guy.
Yeah, Texas Tech, like maybe those kids were just doing football all day and had the
Mm-hmm.
capacity to do a Cliff Kingsbury system. Like typically in college, I think I've said this on the podcast before, like it's more of like an identity. Here's our system. This is what we do. Yes, there's plays that go in week to week, but to the extent where like the way Cliff does it seems like a big ask for non-pros,
Yeah.
especially when like potentially even just the academic ability level of your college football team is across the board, maybe just not cut out for it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
need all 11 guys, all more than 11 guys to be able to do it. Um, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think his coaching influences probably are far and wide. I don't know enough about that to speak to it, but what's on your mind about it?
Because like I was just wondering like how one might think that's the way to do things, right? Like what made him feel like that's the way that he should approach that job. And then he goes and he coordinates for the Commanders, and they have one of the top offenses through week 8. And then week 8 to week 16 they drop down to 22nd.
Yeah, well, that was the way. That was his entire stint in Arizona as the offensive
Yeah.
coordinator too. I'm saying this is a pattern. I feel like no, I was there half of a season. I feel like I can identify why this is a pattern. If Cliff were on this podcast, he'd probably say, "Well, you're forgetting about this, this, and this. Also, like the system's not supposed to be implemented that way. Like here's how it's supposed to be done."
Mm-hmm.
He's probably, and I'm sure that there's been coaches in his ear along the way saying, "Hey, maybe we try this, maybe we try that." He's not oblivious to other ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But I think that he would probably point the finger as to the lack of late season success at something else, you know, other than what I'm pointing it at. But these, I mean, it makes too much sense to me as
Mm-hmm.
to why there's that consistent pattern, and that's my main reason for probably avoiding him as a head coaching candidate. But to be honest, that sort of thing rears its head as a coordinator too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super
No,
interesting.
no, this conversation is intriguing. One thing
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of hiring a former head coach as your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I love it. I think it works out a lot. Just imagining the relief of just like having to take on a head coach, and then you just kind of just get that focus down to like probably your bread and butter, what you've been doing, what got you to the dance, and then you can just focus on that side of the ball and make, especially if you have a head coach that gives you the ability to make it your own. I love the idea of moving like that. There's a few situations out there, but yeah, Cliff's going the other direction. We'll see if somebody decides to pull the trigger, and if somebody picks him up. Tyler, while we're on the topic of play callers, you've shared a rather extensive issue that you had with one of your friends, and I think we're just gonna kick it like that. We'll just take it to you for this one.
Yeah. So, Justin, you've also heard this for the last 4 months: is the
Mhm.
frustrations of the Eagles' offense. And there's a few people I follow on Twitter who do a bunch of like breakdowns of like film and stuff, and like because I don't have access to the all 22 because I didn't pay for it this year. I know,
Gotta
dude.
get you that.
I don't know. I don't
We
know
gotta
what I was
get you that,
doing.
Tyler.
I know. Maybe I can expense it. But
2 sponsors away. We'll make it happen for you.
but yeah. So the thing I think that a lot of Eagles fans, it also could be a broader thing, is like there's a total difference between play calling on the field and then the design of your offense and what you're trying to accomplish. So, like, one complaint I've seen is like the Eagles fans saying like there's not enough play action, under center play action. But in order to have under center play action, you have to have a established run game under center. And the Eagles are one of the worst teams, EPA per play running under center. So if you're a defense, you're like, oh, they're under center, they're not going to run the ball because they're not going to do that. So they're prepared for the play action versus like going under, like thinking of, oh, they're going to run the ball here.
Sure.
So I guess I got into a tiff with a friend that the Eagles' issue isn't fully with Kevin Patullo's play calling whilst on the field. Their issue is with the design and the plays that they're implementing before the game and what they want to get to versus him standing there and calling. The joke is Saquon up the middle, Saquon up the middle. AJ Brown deep ball. But like that's that's the design of their offense, and it's not working. But like, I guess this is where I want to get Seth's like point of view here. Is like, is it the design? Like, is this the issue, the design of their offense, or is this more of like an issue of, hey, this guy's got this play sheet and he's just not pulling the strings right?
Yeah, and then also to like generalize a bit, like when do when does play calling is the issue, and when is it the play design that fails,
Yeah.
and when is it the play caller that has failed?
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if it's the play design or, in your words, like the system that's really the problem as much as it is probably just the on-field play calling. I mean, it didn't take like a particularly strong football analyst to see that the Eagles offense this year was pretty basic. Um, that being said, like the Eagles still do have one of the best rosters in the NFL. The offensive line is not as good as it used to be, but by and large, like the Eagles have been good since Justin helped me 2015, like maybe even earlier, like
Yeah,
because
NFL standards good, yes.
they've consistently had a really good roster. I mean, like I remember we played them in the preseason in 2017 after their 2016 Super Bowl. I think my years are correct. And we went into that game as a preseason game, just like as a measuring stick. Like, here's the defending Super Bowl champs. Here's the best roster in the NFL.
Mhm.
Like, we know not all the starters are playing, but like, how does our roster compare to this?
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is because like football can be really simple if you have the best players. Like when you talk about play design versus play calling, you can call simple plays if your players are better, right? Like we don't need a flea flicker, we don't need a double reverse pass, we don't need a sneaky eligible offensive tackle. We don't need a Ben Johnson heroic play call if our players are just better. If AJ Brown and Devontae Smith can threaten you vertically where you flip your hips and run because you're scared of getting beat deep, and then you throw on the brakes and run a simple curl route, you can you can call that if that's consistently working. I do think that there was a little bit of the Eagles season this year that was just like, hey, AJ Brown wants more catches. He says he's really good. We also think he's really good. Let's just throw him the ball on a slant route or on a curl route or on a 18-yard comeback route. Sometimes that worked. A lot of times it didn't. I'll pause there. I can get a lot more into play design versus play calling, but that's maybe my take on your specific situation.
I think some points I'll pull from that I can bring back kind of to the Eagles specifically. I think from the get-go, I think you're hitting on a lot of keys there. Nick kind of told us the approach was like, we have a really good roster. We're going to do the simple things just better than ever. We're going to keep everything rather simple conceptually and execute. And I feel like that's kind of been it. So when kind of like you get in these positions, it was like, okay, so is it the execution of the players? Is it the play design? And I think as the season goes on, we really like started like kind of leaning towards that play calling and design. Tyler, I'll let you take it and your relationship with that.
So the thing that you're right that Nick said that, but we've talked about this, Justin, together at length. The issue is they're not doing the simple things well, like running the ball. And so that's where it gets frustrating because then you like, if you can't run the ball, you look to the pass game because then you can, there are ways to like extend your run game into the passing game and they can't do that. Like, I don't think the Eagles have run a successful screen since the one screen Quez Watkins had. I think it actually was against the Cardinals, right? I think it was the last time the Eagles had a successful screen. So like it feels like they're stuck in a box where if their run game can't get them 3 yards, that they're just screwed because they have no sort of pass game outside of what Seth was describing, where they have to, challenge people vertically, but at the same time they can't do that. So
no, absolutely. I think we're definitely like narrowing down and definitely the possibilities of what's going on there. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, even though people would agree that it's potentially the best roster in the NFL, it's still the NFL. The margin of error is still really, really small. Coaches still need to put their players in positions to succeed, regardless of roster ability level, in order to have success in the NFL. So, like, the coaches can't I mean, it's a fireable offense for the coaches to take a stance of like, hey, we're just have better players, so we're not really going to do our job to the best of our ability. We're just
Yeah.
going to, you know what I mean? Like, you still need to put your players in positions to succeed. Like, by and large, the way play design happens in the NFL is like you have a week to prepare for an opponent. The staff will watch. There's a lot of people on staff, but the staff will watch the last 5 games typically of that opponent, and they will chart defensive play calls in every down and distance. Typically, it's like 1st and 10, 2nd and long, 2nd and short, 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, 3rd and short, right? And then 4th down, right? And like the way play design happens during a week is like you look like, do we have high percentages of fronts or coverages in any of these down and distance zones, right?
Mhm.
Typically there are, because defenses have identities, they have things that they like, right? Like, is it 90% quarters coverage in 3rd and long, right? If so, I can make a bunch of plays that are good versus quarters coverage. Well, maybe it's 40% quarters and maybe it's 30% cover 3. Well, maybe I can give the quarterback uh, a cover 3 play call, kill it to a cover 4 play call, or pass kill to a run. That's where you see, like, you know, quarterbacks call 2 plays at the line of scrimmage, alert it, like, hey, it's too high, we're not going to run this pass play. But typically, if it's too high, we know what front they're going to be in, so let's kill it to a run that we know is good against this front. Like, typically, that's how good offenses function,
Mhm.
right? This is where the first 15, like the scripted first 15 plays, really play into good offensive coordinators' favor as well. Like, I can show them 15 plays in the beginning, and if you do it right, I can set up 15 offensive plays where I can see how you're going to align against these different formations, which I can take advantage of later in the game when it matters. Like, that is how plays get designed. Whether or not like plays are getting called commensurate with those uh, weekly or like pregame decisions about basically odds of different fronts and coverages that you might get, is another question. And then sometimes just like your plays don't tie together. Like, that's a different conversation that I won't get into now, but we can at a future time if you want.
No, I feel like I think bringing up scripting, I think that's one of the hopes that I kind of have for KP, that maybe he can kind of grow, because he can put a 15 together. He can put the first 15 together kind of good now, but after that, I think maybe it's
I
the
just double
game
checked. The Eagles
adjustments.
are top 5.
Yeah.
The Eagles are top 5 in first quarter offense.
So that could,
Like,
and also another thing, as you're speaking, I'm like, how is this job even possible from the sideline? Like, that's crazy. Like, I don't even.
Yeah, well, that's where like all the people in the booth really help.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes the offensive coordinator's in the booth, sometimes he
Right.
just has eyes in the booth. But it's like, hey, the ball's being spotted at the 49-yard line. It's going to be 2nd and 4. So like top fronts here are like a 57 front. Top coverages are cover 4, cover 3 buzz, like, or like, hey, it's like 90% cover 3 buzz in this situation. Like let's throw 4 verts or like something like that, right? Like, and the other thing is, those massive play sheets they hold in front of their mouth while they're talking,
Yeah.
they're all sectioned by that. So like, if we know it's 2nd and 4, like, here's their second down coverages. Here's all the plays we've prepared this week that we like in this situation. If you're on the Cleveland Browns in like 2016, 17, and you're in 3rd and long, like the entire game, you start to exhaust all the 3rd and long calls that you've prepared. And then it's just like, we're going to run anything at this point. So sometimes that does happen, but that's typically how the flow of a game goes.
So the one thing I wanted to bring up was my frustrations with this team boiled over in the Cowboys game when Landon Dickerson sat on the podium and said that the Eagles did not expect the Cowboys to run a lot of 5-man fronts. but 2 weeks ago they had just traded for Quinnen Williams, so they had their 3 best defensive players were all 3 interior D linemen, and so he then said that the games that they had watched, they didn't had a lot of 5-man fronts, and it was just a recent trend. Like, do teams like put weight into what moves other teams have made prior to that week and like consider that like how the other team might use that player in their design for that week?
Yeah, it's tough. I would say no, just because it's rare for that to happen. I remember
Yeah.
we played Bill Belichick's Patriots in 2016 in New England. No, sorry, in Cleveland. And it was one of the game plans that like I felt really strongly about. I was like, I think we have a good plan going into this game. Um, Bill Belichick ran a 3-3 stack against us that game, which he'd never run before, and is quite honestly like something you see in high school. Like nobody runs a 3-3 stack in the NFL. And basically we ripped up the game plan and had to kind of figure it out on the fly, and they destroyed us. Like sometimes, like Bill probably just felt like we wouldn't be able to adjust to it, and he might have also schematically saw a reason to run it.
Yeah.
But he'd never showed that before. So like that does not now here's a situation where like Cliff Kingsbury would be screwed, right? Because Cliff like prepared his entire game plan off of stuff that he saw on film, right? That he wants to take advantage of. Now everything's changed, and like you need to have base offense and things you can just get to that you know works against a 3-3 stack, right? So like that being said, 5-man front is a lot more common than a 3-3 stack. So like we have calls for 5-0, we call it 5 men down. Like there's adjustments for that. Is it still a wrinkle that you might not have expected? Yeah. Do I have less grace for that than a 3-3 stack? I do, because I think you should be able to adjust to that. But I wouldn't have guessed that just because they acquired a new player necessarily.
That makes sense. Okay, final question. I swear.
No, it's okay.
So the other issue I'm having with this Eagles offense is every time they come to the line, there's about 4 or 5 guys communicating to each other about their coverage, like the protection.
Offensive linemen?
Yeah, so like Steen will call it out, Jurgens will call it out, Dickerson will call it out, Lane Johnson's and he'll call it out, and then Hurts at the same time is also calling it out. And like half the time you look over at the receivers, they're both like shrugging to each other because they don't know what's going on in the backfield. And then next thing you know, there's 2 seconds to play clock, and Hurts is snapping the ball. Do you think that's a situation where they have too many cooks in the kitchen, where you got too many guys trying to call out like, hey, you know, Jalen, if this guy comes, you're hot. Like, yeah, I'm taking the interior guy. This guy's coming off the edge. Like, should this be streamlined to maybe just Hurts and Jurgens or just Hurts?
Yeah. So I don't know specifically this situation, what you're talking about, but I can get at it from process of elimination. First of all, like the receivers don't need to know what calls the offensive line is making. The only thing the receivers would need to know is if there's an alert, if there was 2 plays called. So like the situations where you're saying the receivers look lost is probably just where there's confusion at the line of scrimmage, the play clock is expiring, Jalen hasn't even gotten to this yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like we're good, right? The receivers could care less about an offensive line call. That I know for a fact. In terms of the running back does care very much. The quarterback obviously cares very much. Now, a lot of offensive linemen communicating is a lesser of 2 problems of having poor communication on the offensive line, which sometimes does happen. You want that to be a bit of a symphony where there's a lot of communication. That being said, every team I've ever been on, the center is the commander of that communication, has the final call, especially with a young quarterback. I don't know what the Eagles situation is. A veteran quarterback, a respected quarterback, will veto the center if necessary. But typically, like, if you're trotting Shador Sanders out there, I don't mean to pick on Shador. I'm just thinking of like a really new quarterback.
Mhm.
Like,
Even Kelsey and Jalen Hurts, I think that might even be true with them, what you're about to get at. To be
yeah,
honest.
like there's so much with a veteran center that you can take off the quarterback's plate
Yeah.
in terms of making mic points, making defensive identification calls, even making checks. Like if you call an alert, center may say, "Hey, we got to alert this," and then the quarterback tells everybody because everybody can see the quarterback. But yeah, if there's like arguing on the offensive line about how many is down or who's the mic, I know you guys might not know what that means, but like it's pretty important to identify the mic linebacker for a lot of different reasons: protection, run game. That's low hanging fruit. That is the result of bad coaching, quite honestly. I mean, that's the center's call. If you can't ID it, call a timeout. And if you can't figure it out after that, then you're just you're not a pro. That's my take on that.
I'm gonna pile it all on Cam Jurgens now. I'm ready to ship it out, Justin.
One more question on this topic, then we'll do a very quickest of Eagles versus Niners prediction. For like just the process and protocol and play call, is there like a certain like cadence? Like we want the offensive coordinator, you will finish talking your play at this point in the seconds. Like we break the huddle at this point on the clock, or is it kind of like, is it just you kind of like you hope to hit that, but you kind of just go as it happens?
No, I mean, that is a crucial part of the game, and it is something that bad teams tend to struggle with. Bad offenses, I should say. It is imperative. It is imperative for the offensive coordinator to get the play out of his mouth and into the headset, for the quarterback to get it and to relay it to the team with at least 20 seconds on the play clock. Now there's like a lot of people that need to do their jobs for this to happen. Like the play caller is not making a decision in a vacuum. He has voices up in the press box if he's on the field. He has people who are feeding him information before he decides on a play call. So like those people need to do their jobs. The play caller needs to make a decision. He needs to check his emotions if he's just yelling stuff because of the previous play. Quite honestly, the reason it's so important should be obvious, but like you get up to the line of scrimmage, you need time to do this. You need time to send the guy in motion. If you are consistently snapping the ball just because of an expiring play clock, you're consistently not putting your team and your offense in the best position to execute the play. Like I can remember on some bad teams that I was on that this was consistently an issue, and just consistently another thing we had to overcome outside of trying to beat a really good NFL football team. You know what I mean? That's also goes without saying that the headset turns off.
That's what I was about to
seconds.
ask. What time?
So like
15, you said?
15 seconds, I believe, is on the play clock is when the headset completely turns off. So like you get it in later than that, you're screwed. Really, you want 20 seconds at the line of scrimmage. It starts at 40, I think, or 45. Like good teams get in and out of the huddle, they get the play in, they get it called, they use the clock at the line of scrimmage to put their offense in a position to succeed.
I remember.
Yeah, that is definitely like a huge part of coaching, a huge part of the offensive operation, and that has a huge impact on winning and losing.
I remember. I think it might have been McVay and Goff during, but I remember there was a coach, and he would like. They say that he would want him to break the huddle, and he would like continue talking to him like to the 15. I don't know what it was, but
that was
something along the lines like
Stafford.
Stafford, he would like
Yeah.
want to like use some of that time to like continue like talking him through like the situation, which seems incredibly interesting. But yeah,
It's
considering we're
that
talking about the go for
I
it.
think it was a clip on the Rams Hard Knocks, right? Where
Yes,
like
that okay.
he's going like this, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, he won't shut up."
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
Yes, that
and then he
was one.
walks to the
Yes, I do
line. He's
remember
like,
that
"He's
clip.
still talking."
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be a lot for a quarterback to handle. Although, like if it's your preference to have that, it could be a big advantage, especially just given the fact that you're walking to the line of scrimmage with still 15
Yeah.
seconds left. We've already said
Right.
that's a big deal. You want that. I've never been a green dot guy. Obviously, I've not played quarterback, but like, um, I don't think that's commonplace. But I could be
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah,
It definitely didn't seem common at all, like
No,
what was occurring for sure.
yeah.
those are a
But
lunatic.
yeah, no, that was incredibly interesting
Yeah.
conversation
You
for
will
sure.
hear like it is very common like after the play call to be like expect quarters coverage here or like
Okay.
expect
Yeah.
an over front here like or like kill it versus too high or alert it versus shell coverage like because that's the type of stuff that like the people in the press box they have on paper the research from the whole week that the quarterback isn't bringing a cheat sheet onto the field, right? So
Mhm.
the guy will be like, call the play and then give him a little bit of the information, right?
All
So
right. That's just sure. You may or may not have the plays on your list. You may not. Maybe the right ones, maybe the wrong ones. But moving on. We'll make this
conspiracy
one
of the Bible.
quick. We'll make this one very, very quick. Eagles Niners. I honestly didn't come here with too many questions. Then we're just gonna gauge the room. Tyler, how you feeling about this one?
I'll be able to tell you within first 35 seconds of that game how I'm feeling.
Gotcha.
It's either I was like, I don't know, they're so hurt, they're so injured. Like
Yeah,
their defense is they've got Kaiser White coming in
I
to
know.
play week.
I saw that. I was about to say that
Like
to you earlier.
yeah, Trent Williams is out.
Yeah.
You know, like they have to win this game, and it has to be the offense that wins this game, and that's the part that like kind of scares me because Christian McCaffrey is going to do what he's going to do because it's the Eagles, and this always happens. And I'm convinced it's going to happen. He's going to have 300 all-purpose yards, and I'm going to look at A.J. Brown. He's going to be like, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay.
I think I know. I'm leaving for this one. Honestly, I think like you said, they're injured. But I'm just hoping our offense can really just playoff time, turn the lights on. Playoff. Hopefully, maybe Jalen's gonna turn it up in terms of running it a bit more. That might put some ease and strain on the other defense. I think that's going to be one of the keys. I think they might let Jalen loose a little bit more. But
I would love to see QB power bash ran in this game. It would actually make me so excited.
It's the time. It's that
with a pulling
guard. That time. It is that time to let it fly. Seth, do you have any opinions on this Eagles Niners one? I know you been forced to watch the Eagles a few times with me. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the Niners.
Yeah, maybe I don't have a ton of reasons why, but I think the Eagles win this game. I think the Niners are overachieving, which they may continue to overachieve here, but I think the Eagles win.
And any Niners fans, he means that as a compliment. Overachieving, he means you guys are doing a lot with little. They get a little.
It's definitely a compliment. It's a compliment to the coach and the players.
I know they don't really. I don't know. Sometimes words are hard, but yeah, that is that. Any other things to get off our hearts and minds before we get out of here?
Dallas Goedert 2+ touchdowns.
I also would like an inspiring message for your Ducks, Tyler. I think that would be helpful to close this one.
To inspire my Ducks?
Yeah.
I appreciate you all. I'm excited for next year. I think we'll be better next year. Don't listen to that. Time is now.
All right, man. All right.
No, half the team's in the portal, so
I think we'll be better next year. I know Dan Lenning said he might line up at nickel or something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we lost 5 defensive backs going in the portal already to follow our defensive.
So they're just like nah, like we just don't play off. So like we're
the rumor on the Oregon Twitter is that Dan Lanning gave like at the end of the season had a very honest meeting with everybody saying like, hey, I'll let you know if you're not part of our plans so you can get a jump start in your career, because like it would be unfair with the current schedule to like keep guys around that aren't gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a nice guy. I assume he did that.
That's nice.
But that means that they're gonna have to put some real leg work in these coming next weeks, because they gotta fill some holes.
Yeah, that is a man with job security. Wow, that's crazy. It's good for him though. Good for him. Seth, any inspiring messages for the NFL players as we go into the week? You don't have to do that.
Maybe only for the NFL fans or football fans, I should say. I think we've got 5 straight days of high stakes football coming up here starting Thursday. So enjoy that, everyone.
Yeah, we love to see it. We love to see it. Sending prayers and blessings to everybody, especially you, Tyler, Luke. We're your friends over here on this podcast. And yeah, that is that. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell somebody that you love them, and that is that. Thank you for watching. Peace.
See ya.